tonight's session. Great. Susan.
Good evening. On behalf of the League of Women Voters and the East Bay newspapers, welcome to our forum between Robert Britto and Gregory Greco, who are running for Senate District 18, which is being vacated by Cynthia Mendes, who is running for Lieutenant Governor. This will be followed in about 40 minutes by a forum for candidates for the mayor of East Providence, with incumbent Bob Da Silva, Maureen Gomes Lopez, Rory Miller, and John Rossi. Democracy depends upon educated voters, and the purpose of these forums is for candidates to answer questions on issues important to East Providence and the state, so you can make an informed choice when you vote on September 13th. This forum is being presented by the League of Women Voters and the East Bay Media Group. Scott Pickering, General Manager of the East Bay Media Group, is our moderator tonight. My name is Susan Eschrich. I'm representing the League along with our wildcard tracker, Linda Poole, behind me, and our timers, Joanne DuBois and Tom Padlock. The League of Women Voters has been holding candidate forums at local, state, and national levels since women got the vote in 1920. The League never supports or opposes candidates. The League also holds registration drives for voters and members studying issues important to their localities, states, and nation, reach consensus, and advocate for positions developed by the process. We invite you to learn more about the League by visiting our website at www.lwvri.org and to consider joining us. Tonight, Scott will be asking questions that have been submitted by the public, the campaigns, and League members, and which address issues that are important to these constituencies. Questions may be combined or paraphrased at the moderator's discretion. Each candidate will have the same amount of time to speak. Each gets an opening and closing statement and will be asked an equal number of questions. Each candidate also gets 4 additional chances of 30 seconds each that he or she can use to expand on an issue, bring up a new subject, or lengthen his or her closing statement. Timers and recorders will alert the candidates to the time remaining and to ensure that each gets equal time. And now I turn the program over to our moderator, Scott Pickering.
Thank you, Susan. So welcome to the candidates, welcome to the audience. Glad to be part of this once again. It's a good opportunity to get to meet people before we have a chance to possibly vote them into office. So we're going to begin in a moment with opening statements from each candidate. I'm going to direct some questions to everyone. Just to set the scene, I know it's probably helpful to the audience to know we're all together in a room at the East Providence Public Library. We're using a device which actually is provided by the library, and thank you to them for providing this. It's called the OWL. And so as we talk, the camera will find each one of us in the room and broadcast voice and picture to through the Zoom feed. And we don't have an audience with us. It's just us, the League volunteers, myself, and the candidates here. And so we're in an intimate setting. We have a live audience who isn't with us, and we're using some very, very advantageous technology courtesy of the library. So I'm going to get us going. We drew for order beforehand. Mr. Greco, Gregory Greco, is the first to go, and I'll turn it over to you for your opening statement.
Thank you very much for having me. Hello, my name is Gregory Greco. I am a father, a husband, and a teacher, and I'm running for State Senate District 18 in East Providence and Pawtucket because we need leaders with empathy and courage at the State House. When I was a child, I struggled in school, but I got to where I am today because I had teachers who believed in me and saw something in me that I did not see in myself. We need leaders with the same empathy my teachers showed me. I've seen our state government refuse to address the pressing needs of my students and their families. My students miss out on learning time because they have to pick up a part-time job because we don't pay their parents a living wage. I've attended too many of my students' funerals because our state has lacked urgency on gun violence. I have seen the despair and desperation of students who have been unhoused. I have seen the state lack the courage to address the climate crisis that will affect my students and my sons. We have enough career politicians in the State House. We need teachers, we need social workers, we need officers to be your state's.
We also have Robert Britto with us, and I'll turn it over to you for your opening statement.
Thank you, Scott. good host home watching at home. My name is Robert Britto, and I am running for Senate, State Senate in District 18. I lived in East Providence for 25 years with my wife Danielle and our 4 children. I currently work as a construction and design specialist for Island Housing. I grew up in the Fox Point section of Providence, where I was the youngest of 6 children. The struggle of working class minority families like the one I grew up in are never too far from my heart. Those struggles guide my work at Rhode Island Housing and the City of East Providence City Council. My childhood was spent at the Fox Point Boys and Girls Club. I am proud to say that I have remained an active member of the Fox Point Alumni Association, which is the oldest Boys and Girls Club association in the country. I've coached, I mentored, I volunteered for many organizations. I know the life that changed the powers of community and service. I originally ran for office to make a difference in East Providence and the lives of children. I served on the East Providence City Council for 8 years, 4 of which I've had to be the honor of the City Council President. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to questions now. Mr. Greco, we're going to go back to you with the first question. We like to start it off easy with a softball, get some of the nerves out of the way. So this should be a very easy question for both of you. If elected, what are your top priority policies that you would introduce and push in the next legislative session?
Well, I'm concerned that we have left $877.5 million surplus as of the last legislative session. We had got that money in March and we've not spent. We got 1.15 billion in March and we've spent barely any of it. We also had a study that came out a few weeks ago that said we were dead last in building new housing. As many of you know, we have a rental and housing crisis in the state, that we don't have enough homes, and the homes and rent that people have to deal with are way too high at the moment. So I think we really have to address that. I think we should be investing in local construction companies all across the state, and especially in East Providence, and making sure that we have enough housing. We need to build low and affordable housing. And I think that's the first priority. It seems like, especially given our surplus and where we are in terms of dead last in building housing, it seems like that's an obvious place to start.
Mr. Britto, same questions, your priorities.
My priorities would be essentially affordable housing, whereas I work as a construction and design specialist for Rhode Island Housing, number 1. Number 2, education. I think we need to really start zoning in and focusing on education. And finally, combating climate change and resilience in the state of Rhode Island. I go back to construction, where I am, again, construction design. We need to build not only affordable house, but sustainable for affordable housing. Sustainable affordable housing, meaning that those homes that are ready for solar panels or have solar panels, those homes that have electric charging stations, those homes that have homes of which that the appliances that go into these homes, the energy efficient, the plumbing fixtures that go in, they conserve water. Those are some of the things that we need with respect to affordable housing. When it comes time for education, as we all see and know, our new high school that we have here, we need to really, I believe that every city in the state of Rhode Island should deserve and should have a high school like the city of East Providence does.
Thank you. All right, new question. Mr. Britto, we'll start with you. Both of you touched on questions I was going to go deeper on later, so let me move around here. So, Mr. Britto, do you support a ban on the sale and ownership of assault weapons? Would you push for any changes to the current Rhode Island gun laws?
I do support those bans. We currently had the legislation just passed, the red flag laws. We have multiple laws that are on the books at this point in time. I think the General Assembly is doing an excellent job as far as fighting gun control in this state. We really need to keep an eye on it. But more importantly, we need to also give the tools and resources to our law enforcement to make sure that they're able to be out there and to combat the problems that we have in the street, and more importantly, in the homes for domestic violence as well.
Mr. Greco, same question.
Well, I absolutely agree that we need a ban on assault weapons. I don't agree with Mr. Britto that the state government has done as much as it could. We've known for years and years and years that that assault weapons have been used again and again and again for, I don't know, a dozen years, more than a dozen years to kill massive amounts of people. And the state legislature has not acted. We still haven't acted on gun legislation, banning assault weapons. So I do think through the incredible advocacy of groups like Moms Demand Action, Rhode Island Coalition Against Gun Violence, we have gotten some measures passed in the last year. It took another killing of elementary school children for that to happen. And the lack of urgency, I think, from the leadership of the State House is something that I think we need a change in the leadership. I think we need leaders who understand what's going on. I've experienced a lot of gun violence from my, going to funerals for my students. And I feel like we need a lot more urgency than we have.
Thank you. New question. We'll talk about business. Two sides to this question. You can answer either side or both. Mr. Greco, we start with you. What should the General Assembly do to bring more jobs to Rhode Island? And how can the legislature help the existing small businesses in the state?
Well, I think we have to first start out by not giving sweetheart deals to large developments that have in the past 38 studios, for one example, and Tidewater, where we gave $60 million, and we just hear the report that we're going to get $7 million back in the first 20 years. So I think what we're doing is we're making unwise investments in large corporations instead of investing in people right here in the state. I think one area where we should invest is green technology. I teach at a VOTech school, and the vocational program that has exploded the most is in green technology, because students they know that that's where our future is going to be. I think we should be spending some of that $880 million to prop up small businesses that have been hurt by COVID. And that's what that money is supposed to be for, instead of sitting in a surplus.
Mr. Britto.
Yes, I beg to differ with Mr. Greco. I think our priority would be with businesses that we should support, our small and big businesses here in the state of Rhode Island, whether it's small businesses through the permit processes, through their municipalities, first and foremost, to make it smoother and convenient for them for a one-shot deal for their permits, as opposed to making it difficult for them. I also support businesses in a sense that we need more businesses in the city to sustain the economic development in this state. With that being said, I will give you an example of a storefront property right over by my house that's been vacant for at least 25 years. Out of 5 or 7 stores that we had in there, would possibly was 4 of them were vacant. We see these small businesses coming in, and these storefronts are starting to fill up because of big businesses that are allowing the footprint to these small businesses to set up shop here in these provinces and throughout the state of Rhode Island.
Thank you. Good question to Mr. Britto. We just touched on it a minute ago. I'll go deeper on it. Do you support or oppose the Tidewater Landing development? Why or why not?
I support the Tidewater Landing deal, and I'll tell you why. There's a vacant piece of property in the city of Pawtucket that's been this way abandoned for about 50 years now. It's been a blighted site, and I think this is a great opportunity to bring people together to flourish the city of Pawtucket as well. It will be a gateway into our state. We have a stadium along with mixed use. We talk about affordable housing and not enough affordable housing. This allows us to have those affordable houses that we didn't, or the city of Pawtucket didn't have at one point in time. We have restaurants, we have shops. This will bring people together. As we see here in the city of East Providence, we're starting to grow and people to start to come out. We need these type of developments in our cities, in our state, in order to attract people.
Mr. Greco.
Well, we do disagree on this. I think we do need developments, but this is the wrong development. Again, that study just saying we gave $60 million to these developers and we're getting $7 million back in 20 years. And there's no guarantee, aside from the stadium, that we're going to get any new development for this property. And I worry about that. I think we do need to do what we can to support small businesses and support large businesses, but giving them sweetheart deals. We gave 38 studios a sweetheart deal, and look where that landed us. And this is the exact same kind of venture. Again, the studies, I didn't do the studies. The studies have been done that say this is a bad investment, and I think it was premature to jump the gun on this. And we didn't get insurance that we're going to build aside from the stadium. And I love soccer, but I don't know any minor league soccer teams, and I think it's going to be a tough sell. I mean, it's going to be a much tougher sell than minor league baseball, because it has no market right now in the United States, and yet this is what we went on, so.
Mr. Britto,
I beg to differ. Again, I myself played soccer at some point in time. I love soccer. Soccer is a huge and growing sport, primarily in the Pawtucket area, even in East Providence and throughout municipalities throughout the state of Rhode Island. This will attract people. We no longer have the Pawtucket Red Sox, and that is a missing gem that city doesn't have any further. And we need something like this to attract more people to that city and to the surrounding cities as well, to support the local and small businesses that we all talk about every day and fill in those storefront properties.
okay, thank you both. New question, Mr. Greco, starts with you. We have clear evidence of climate change all around us. Do you believe Rhode Island is doing enough to think long-term about climate change? What would you try to accomplish if elected?
No, I don't think we're doing enough. I think the last legislative session has been one of the more fruitful ones. So I do think we're moving in the right direction, but we need way more urgency on this issue. Every climate scientist, the UN says that we have to act drastically. And I know in this city, we're tearing down green space left and right to build convenience stores right next to my house. We have a dilapidated plaza right near my house, the Stop and Shop Plaza, and yet we're tearing down green space a few blocks away from it to build a Cumberland Farms and some housing. I don't know why we can't invest in those dilapidated storefronts, but I think tearing down green space is not the way to go. I think we need to expand RIPTA. I think it's really important that we have as strong a public transit as possible. I think we need to not vote for burning plastics like paralysis, like the Senate leadership did.
Mr. Britto?
Green space, open space where Mr. Greco alluded to on Newport Avenue. It's a space that was blighted for a while. It's been vacant for many, many years. I would say in excess of 25, 30 plus years. There's an opportunity for economic development on that road, Newport Avenue State Road there. This will bring some vibrant businesses to that city, to that area. Mr. Greco had more than ample time to come out and speak against that, but not once, as he had alluded to, it's in his area, in his backyard, but not once did he contest. Not once did he bother to protest that development, either in person or more importantly, in writing to show his support against this development.
Mr. Greco, did you want to respond?
Yeah, I'll respond. Trees are trees, right? This was a development. Yeah, he is correct. I did not respond to it at the time. I'm very busy. We all busy. But we do entrust our leaders to take good care of our environment. And Robert Britto has been a leader to take care of his environment. And he has, again, many times chosen to tear down green space in order to build developments when we have dilapidated buildings that we need to invest in, especially like a lot right next to it.
Okay, so we're actually up to our last question. And we'll go back to an issue that was touched on earlier and I think is important to both of you, if I'm correct. Affordable housing, which remains a major problem in Rhode Island. What measures would you support at the state level to either control housing costs or create more affordable housing, or both? I'm sorry, and the question begins with Mr. Britto.
Again, as a design and construction specialist for Rhode Island housing, I am one of the only candidates, if not the only candidate, who's actually doing something about affordable housing on this panel. With that being said, I will continue the job that I currently do as a design and construction specialist. I will see that we continue to build affordable housing and sustainable housing. We talk a lot about affordable. I alluded to early on about sustainable housing, and that goes with panels, our solar panels, our charging stations at our homes, our Energy Star appliances. It's not only the affordable housing, but what makes it affordable to the sense that we're not relying on the grid. We talked about how Rhode Island Energy is raising the prices or considering to raise the price at this point in time. We need to start thinking differently. We need to start taking ourselves off the grid and think of power. And this is a good way of doing it. And in addition to that, I would also say and allude to the $35 million investment that the General Assembly did with the South Key here with windmills, offshore windmills. I think that's a great starting point.
Mr. Greco, same question.
I mean, it comes down to a lack of urgency by the State House leaders. The State House leadership has endorsed Robert Britto. The Senate president has a lot of power to determine what legislation gets passed and what legislation does not. They have sat on an $880 million surplus during the last legislative session, and we're dead last in building new housing. So the idea that, you know, this current state leadership is going to do anything different next year, I haven't seen that. I think we need people up there who have more urgency, who understand what the increasing rent and housing costs are doing to our communities, who understand the fear that people have in them, who have the empathy to go and do something about it. You know, the State House leadership had $1 billion, and the former state senator, Cynthia Mendes, tried to get them to spend a little bit of it on unhoused people, and they refused until she had to sit and have a sleep out in front of the State House to do so.
Yeah, please.
Endorsed by the Senate president. I don't know if I was endorsed by him, but I will say he likes me better. And I would say that only because of personalities and the way I think on economic development in the state and where I feel with education and what we have done as a city with the new high school that you see. We're promoting businesses, small or large businesses, and to fight for the right of people. And that's what I've done. That's what I've always done. I don't know about being endorsed in any sense whatsoever, but it's not about fighting, going to the State House and fighting. It's about getting things done at the State House. My time is not going to be spent with fighting people. My time is going to be set on getting things done for District 18, people in East Providence and Pawtucket. What happens in Providence happens in Providence. I want to focus on East Providence and Pawtucket with District 18.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Greco, please.
So the Senate president gave Mr. Britto over $1,000 over the last 2 cycles. So I would say that's definitely an endorsement. And I'm not fighting people, I'm fighting for things. We need people in there who are going to fight for average people who don't have a say. And I feel like there's too many people at the State House who are listening to entrenched special interests and are not in their communities making a difference every day. I'm a special education teacher making a difference in my community every day. I see the pain and the hurt that a lot of my students are suffering. And I feel like we need to address this issue by fighting for those who aren't being listened to. And the Senate president, I think, has a long track record of not doing that.
You want to respond?
Well, again, it's
You
not.
you have one wild card left.
Okay, then I'll hold off.
It's up to you.
No, I might need it for my closing statement.
I'm gonna throw my own wild card. Despite some of the back and forth, we're still moving at a brisk pace. So I'm gonna throw my own wild card. I'm gonna add another question. Beginning with Mr. Greco. Do you support a woman's right to choose her reproductive health care, including the right to have an abortion? And also, do you support the Equality in Abortion Act, which would remove Rhode Island laws that prohibit insurance plans for state employees and Medicaid recipients from including abortion coverage in their state issued insurance plans?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. I am a fervent supporter of a woman's a right to choose. I've been endorsed by Planned Parenthood, and I feel like that I 100% support the EACA. I feel like we should have supported it long before now. We had a chance after the Dobbs decision was linked to do something about it in June, and we didn't do anything about it in June. We had a lot of people calling for a special session to do something about it. We didn't do anything about it in the special session. So I plan one of my first votes when I get up to the State House is to support the EACA, because I feel like that barrier for women's health should not exist anywhere in the state. And I think it was the first time in my lifetime we had a significant rollback in rights for people in this country. And that's sobering to me. And I think we have to be bold about who we are and what we stand for. And I stand to making sure that women have bodily autonomy.
Mr. Britto.
I would say that personally, I am against abortion. However, I support a woman's right to make that decision. And I've always given the example of if my 2 daughters who are of age were to come home and one of them was pregnant or both of them was pregnant, it is their decision. Although I might not agree with them, it is their decision. And I not only support that decision personally, but I support it on the state level as well. With respect to the ECAC, I truly believe that that's an insurance issue. That's something that should be resolved with the insurance and then come down to the General Assembly. However, I would say that it is not my decision. It's a woman's decision. It's my daughter's decision, but I personally am against the motion.
Mr. Greco.
Too much of our healthcare is insurance decisions. Insurance should not determine the healthcare that people get in this society. Who lives, who dies, who loses all their money, who doesn't. The fact that certain people have access to reproductive health and others don't in our state is problematic. And I think to throw it to insurance as opposed to us doing something about it at state level to ensure equal access is the wrong way to look at it.
I'll add another wild card to each candidate if you want to go any further on this, or you can just add it to your closing statement if you'd like.
I'll add it to my closing statement. I'll read it.
So we'll have,
Considering that I was cut
So that's
short on my opening
another
statement.
one.
so, all right, we're moving to our closing statements. Mr. Greco, we're going to start with you. So you have a 1-minute closing statement plus 2 more wild cards. So you have up to 2 minutes
Okay.
for your
I
closing.
think I only have one wild card.
I just added.
Oh, my bad.
You got the bonus
Just
wild
gave
card.
it.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Unprecedented, never before seen, bonus wild.
I feel honored. I
That's
feel
what I
honored.
always liked about these debates.
Right, you never know what's going to happen.
You never know what's gonna happen.
So you got up to 2 minutes for your closing remarks.
First, I want to thank everyone here for having us. I'm someone who's a huge believer in small d democracy, and I think these kind of conversations, engaging with the candidates are absolutely critical. So I want to thank everyone here for helping create more democracy in our state and our district. So thank you very much, everybody. People are tired of politics as usual. They are hungry for leaders with honesty and integrity, who show empathy and courage, and who listen to the people in the district. I've spoken to thousands of constituents of District 18 over the last year. I know that they want to be heard and listened to. They want politicians who will stop giving deals to luxury developers at our expense. They want universal health care so no one will lose all their money when they become sick. They want reproductive freedom because no one else should have control over your own body. They want to rid our state of assault weapons so that we don't have to live through the same nightmare that so many communities have suffered, and my students have suffered as well. They want us to utilize our many abandoned buildings to build low and affordable housing, not utilize precious green space. They want us to protect Narragansett Bay and keep our air clean. They want to fully fund our schools and earn a fair wage for an honest day's work. Most importantly, they want leaders who will fight for them. I humbly say that I am that leader, and I ask for your support for the Democratic primary on September 13th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Britto, same thing, up to 2 minutes.
Up to 2 minutes. I just want to start with the, thank you all, League of Women Voters, and those of you who are watching this evening. Before I go into my closing statement, I just want to say, when we talk about universal insurance, I agree with Mr. Greco. However, I have some personal challenges as far as the universal health insurance, who's going to pay for it, where the money's going to come from. We all experience UHIP. We already know what that $365 million was about, that disaster was about if the state was to run it. Once again, thank you all, League of Women Voters, for sponsoring this event, and those of you that tuned in at home. Far too often we hear candidates make promises that are far beyond their reach. I make one promise, and that is to work hard for you. I will work tirelessly. I will be accessible advocate for you and your neighbors. With that work ethic also comes priorities and visions for our district as well. If I am elected, I will push for transform how we fund our schools to ensure funding for the arts programs, make teachers pay competitive, and have more school-based mental health counselors. I would also advocate for free breakfast and free lunch for all students in schools, because I know what it's like growing up in a household experiencing food insecurities. I would also like to rely on my experience at Rhode Island Housing to confront our state's biggest challenge, access to affordable housing. I believe my personal and professional experience, including 8 years on the council, distinguishes me from other candidates in this race. I chaired the Minority Oversight Committee for the high school. I am a member of the Province Resilience Partnership. I am an active supporter of many organizations, including the Boys and Girls Club. I didn't just wake up in the morning and decide to run for a state Senate seat. I have always rolled up my sleeves to do the hard work on behalf of the community. Thank you, and I appreciate the time this evening for all of you, and I hope you consider me by September 13th for the Democratic primary of District 18.
Thank you. All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
Well done on the timing. Susan, you're gonna take us out?
I just want to, just remind everybody that you can vote in person, thanks to our legislature, up through September 13th and at the town hall. And be sure you do vote, because it's use it or lose it with your vote. And we will be having forums, the Legal again sponsor with the East Bay Media Forums for the general election, October 2nd, 17th, and 24th. We're going to have almost everybody in every job in the city is up for election. So those will be important forums for you to join in also. So we welcome you to those.
All right, thank you, everyone. I'm gonna stop the recording now.